your page now. This music always gets me going. I want to swing some lights in the club right now. All right, Grant, what's up, buddy?
What's going on? How's it going?
It's good, man. I've got my team of Santas behind me, and we're coming in hot, man. We're coming in hot. Lease first sale. You said let's get on a call, let's talk about this, and I love this talk. And it's kind of funny because you can usually tell right away when you're talking to a Christmas light owner based off of their revenue and their average ticket if they're selling or leasing. And I never really understood it or backed it. So, you're coming here and going to give your perspective. So I'm pretty excited about it. But for anybody who doesn't know who Grant Fields is, Mr. Thunder Lighting, why don't you go ahead and tell who you are?
Sure. So just a little backstory. Before I was working over at Thunder Lighting, I ran an install company for about 6 years. So from when I was in high school till I graduated college, went everywhere from wrapping trees and bushes all the way up to being a regional manager for that company. And we were always a sales company. And whenever I went to do install estimates, the homeowner would always ask, do you guys sell the product or lease the product? And I never knew anything about leasing the product until I started working for the supplier, because it's just something we never did. And so something I want to do is, understand it better, get to know it better, and see if I can help other people understand it a little better.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I think it's going to be a fun topic. Let's have a little fun with this. If you're watching, go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know what you're doing. Are you leasing your lights? Are you selling your lights? Are you doing a little bit of both? I put a post out a couple days ago, I think maybe right before, right after we talked about it. And the feedback, I'd say, was definitely more on the lease. And I actually got schooled.
I was getting a lot of hate.
And, I love doing these things because you get feedback from different people. And it's not often I'll say if somebody's right or wrong, because people just do things differently, and whatever works for your business model works for your business model. And a couple of the guys came in there and said they rent their lights out. And I was kind of intrigued by that. And then they gave me the reasoning why. And, I like using the word rent now versus leasing. And we're actually going to adapt that into our business this year to be able to explain that to customers, because I feel it's a little bit easier to say you're renting something. They know renting, they're definitely going to bring it back. Leasing can get a little confusing. You can lease to purchase kind of deal. So I think Joe, Devinow, and a couple other guys said rent, and I like that. So
I like it. It's something, again, and it kind of is more of a rental program, because it's not like you're going in for long term. It's not like it's a lease to own program. Like when most people think leases, they think of cars, and that's, a 3-year program, got a bunch of restrictions, things like that. It's not hey, short term, here's what you have, and this is what I'm willing to provide you.
Yeah. So that's good. That's why I like these Facebook groups and now the live. So we've got some people joining in, and like I said, let us know what you're doing. Are you renting, leasing, or selling your lights? So you guys are up in the Long Island area, right?
Yes, sir. And something that I've seen in my personal experience is it's actually a regional thing of where people sell versus lease. And I don't know if it stems back to, when the first installers were there doing the installs, they were selling or leasing, and then all the other companies adapted to it. But I feel like when I talk to installers, it's very broken up by region of who leases and sells. On Long Island, a lot of the companies in our tri-state area are selling, not leasing. But there are companies that do strict leases, and there's some companies that do a hybrid model.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen the same thing, or if you've seen primarily leasing across your network. What have you seen?
I've seen leasing. I talked to a few guys. I actually had a conversation with a guy last year, and I should have pulled this message up. Great guy, great business. But he's just, we'll get into it why I don't like it, but just because your average ticket significantly drops your second year, third year, fourth year, and then you're just working, and you're doing 100 jobs a week to make up for the same difference that others are doing 50 jobs a week.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with you on that, but I think that gives you a huge opportunity for upsells. if you have your first year, your first ticket, and you're all the way up here with that, and then you tell the customer, hey, if you're going to spend a couple grand your first year, your next year, that's going to be cut down significantly. The customers might say, I have the budget to add on every year, which is not only going to increase what they have on their project and the look of their project, but eventually over time, it's going to increase your reoccurring revenue of that install, takedown, storage, labor cost.
All right, so let's talk about it. Once you go through the process of sale with the customer, explain your process on how you sell the lights, what it looks like, what it costs your first year for the materials, for labor, and then what it would cost second year. You want to stick with something that's $1,000 or just, somewhere baseline?
Give or take, let's start at like a $2,000 house. Again, we're in the Northeast. Things are a little more expensive here, Breakfast for the guys is $20 for one guy, not, $7. So you got to jack those prices up a little bit. But if you take your average $2,000 job installed on a sales model, you go into the customer, they're picking out what they want to do for the project, very specific items, hey, I want, package A, B, or C. If you have packages built out, if it's not, it's going to be, hey, I want a roof line, this, that. Very similar to the leasing model where the customer is going to pick what they do. But then the difference is the customer is actually going to buy the lights from you and then get a labor charge. So on your invoice, it's going to be broken down to here's your material cost and here's your labor cost. And the big part with that is your next year. So if they buy it this year in 2024, their 2025 labor cost is going to drop, or it's going to stay the same, but their overall project cost is going to drop significantly. So if you're looking at like a $2,000 job for material and labor, you're probably going to drop to $1,200 to $1,000 reoccurring every year. Good thing with that is that might be more appetizing to some customers. Yes, they're going to have to take the hit the first year and actually make the purchase. Or if you're a company that finances lights over a couple of years, make that initial purchase over your first 3 years. But at the end of the day, in the long run, they're paying less for the annual cost.
Okay. So how much are you marking up that product by selling it versus leasing it?
So the actual product itself is usually marked up between 30 to 40% from your distributor. Some products are marked up, 60, 70, 80, and you're actually taking that profit margin and putting it in your pocket. Then customer cancels with you. They want to go do their own thing. They move, they get divorced. You can make that 30 to 80% all over again to your next customer. Instead of trying to take the lights and material from client A's house and make it work on client B, you're starting with your fresh slate on client B.
Right. Okay. And then can you ballpark me what a cost of a mini would be?
Cost of minis?
Yeah.
So your mini lights, it depends on if we're doing a branch wrap or canopy wrap, obviously. Your material cost is going to be in that $11-ish range, talking 50 count, 6-inch spacing, maybe $11 to $12 for the customer's cost. And then you're going to sell it to the customer depending on whether they want to install, takedown, or storage. Your install is going to look at like a $15-ish range for a canopy wrap and like a $7 takedown for a canopy wrap. And then your branch wrap is looking anywhere in that $20 range per set just for an install, plus about 10 to take down. And then storage on top of that if the customer opts to store, which is a big difference in sales versus lease, because just because you offer the sales model doesn't mean customers have to store with you. So sale, you're looking at about maybe 30 to 50 cents to store a set of mini lights for a year.
All right. So you're at, let's say 35, 40. I think you're saying around $42, $44.
Yep, and if you give me 2 seconds, I'll get you some more accurate numbers on that.
Because I just want to compare numbers and just to see the cost. Because, already I'm not even happy with what you're doing.
So if we take a branch wrap mini light, I was way off on my numbers. My numbers were probably for the full install, takedown, storage. So a branch wrap mini light for one set, install, takedown, storage, labor cost, you're looking at like $25. And then canopy wrap, you're looking at about $13. So for a canopy wrap mini light, install, takedown, storage, plus your material your first year, you're looking at like $27. And for your branch wrap, you're looking at about $36. That seemed like it's more in line with where you're at?
No, I mean we're $45 to lease it.
to lease, and that's every year, $45, one set of mini lights. Hey, big difference. Could be off in numbers, could be off, material costs, things like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I mean, let's just say most guys across the board are
Was
35.
that branch wrap or canopy wrap?
It's kind of, I mean, we're both, we just keep it simple across the board.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe said he's $47 lease same year. So the process with the lease, and we're gonna sell the project to the customer for a $2,000 job. That's gonna be a basic roof line. Let's say, I don't know, 100 foot of roof line, a 48-inch wreath, wrapping some columns. And let's see where we're at right there. That's 14, 15, 17. Yeah.
Wait, I'll do it at the same time as you. You're doing 100 feet of C9 roof line.
Yep.
Okay, and then you're going to do a 48-inch wreath and what else?
Let's wrap some columns. You're typically, let's say, 6 minis for 2 columns.
Okay, so we're doing 6 minis. Okay.
Where are you at right now with that total? I think that's probably around $1,800.
Mine's broken down between labor and material, so give me 2 seconds. I'm at about $1,100 in labor, and then material costs, customer costs.
Slow on your calculator there. So I think I'm roughly just ballparking without looking at my numbers, just like spinning off the top of my head, around $1,600 for all that.
So we would be at, I have a whole Excel sheet built out, that's why. So we'd be at like $1,500 for that first year, and then every year after that is going to be reoccurring of $1,100.
Yeah, and then so you're $1,100. We'll still be at the $1,500, $1,600. The only time we give a discount for us now is early October, or anytime in October installs. We'll do like a split. If you're the first 2 weeks of October, you get a 10%. The second 2 weeks, 5%.
So the difference between you and that is, do people expect that discount every year?
No, it's a one-time discount.
One time? Okay, so a lot of times people with the sales model will actually go ahead and they'll discount the cost of the material. That way it's a one-time discount done, and then your labor stays the same throughout the years.
Yeah. And then also, so if you sold the lights, now you lost the lights. So that was what, $500 you said?
$500, but it's money in your pocket, because that $500 you made, your cost on it probably in the $400 range. You made your money on it, and then you're going to go ahead and sell lights to a new customer when they sign up again.
Right, but you only made that cost once. With a lease model, you make that cost every year.
Correct.
And then if Johnny doesn't use his lights and says, I want to go with Thunder and Lightning the second year, well then, all right, Johnny, we'll take our lights back because we already have them in possession because we stored them, and then we'll go put them back in another house. So now we can still reuse those lights for a secondary house.
Now, something I always wondered is, do you guys repurpose your C9 stringer and your bulbs, or do you just start new on a new house?
We'll repurpose it if it makes sense.
That's something I always wondered in the leasing model, because I can only imagine the amount of male-female connectors you would use to kind of make it fit on someone's house per se. If you took a house that was 200 feet and now you're trying to piecemeal together on a house that's 150 feet, does that work, or do you guys just scrap it and start new?
Yeah, we're obviously not going to Frankenstein it and have 15 male females trying to make one long run. But honestly, what we probably do most of the time is recycle it and donate it and just give it back to like somebody that they got volunteered to have their house decorated for free.
Okay.
But sometimes, we'll just take some short runs if the bulbs are 2 years old, and just put those on short runs and make sure the bulbs are all matched up. But there's definitely an opportunity, especially with the minis and the garland and the wreaths, just to finish for that over.
For sure.
So
just difference. I could never see an install crew trying to piecemeal a house together. I'd see an install crews try and put the lights on the wrong house, which I can imagine is pretty similar of a problem as, trying to piecemeal the lights that don't fit on a house together. So it's just something that was always in my mind is, hey, you have this house where you're doing all the gables and hips and the top, and you're trying to just take lights from just a straight roof line and put them on that. How would it work? So that really kind of helped explain it. If it's a short run, you'll piecemeal it in. If not, you're just starting new.
Yeah. So I got a bunch of guys watching right now. Just drop a comment. Are you leasing? Are you selling? What's your thoughts on either one? It's easier to make a sale when you're selling, but it's not nearly as profitable. And Hunter, I guess you're saying that because it's going to be cheaper the second and third year. So they'll probably get more excited about that.
I also think sales model, there's more advantages for the customers per se. Looks to me as a person, it would look more appetizing on paper to buy the lights over leasing the lights.
Yeah. But then the one thing too that the customers sometimes don't understand is, let's say X company is selling the lights and then they go out of business because they just ran themselves in the ground. Now, most professional companies that know what they're doing are not going to touch those lights.
Correct. And there's no question in my mind about that.
And I've done it. I've done it 3 times. And every single time I've done it, I've kicked myself in the ass and just said, just start new. Like, just throw the lights out. Just start fresh and let's do this all over. So then they're stuck having to repurchase the lights too. And that kind of sucks for them.
And I think that's something that keeps the contractor having customers, have that retention, because the customers can't as easily leave as a lease model. And we'll get into retention rates in a minute. But as far as that goes, it's a lot harder for a sales customer to leave than a leasing model. If I sold you lights and now I'm storing them, just roll through it. I have your lights, you want to leave me. Not every customer is going to know exactly what they have. Yes, they go back and look at the paperwork, but then you have to come and approach me and say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about going with a different company or something's happening. Right then and there, I have a chance to discuss with you what your issue is with what we're doing and try and keep you as a customer. It's also awkward for you as a customer to come and have that conversation with a contractor. And it's one of those things where your lights are out of sight, they're out of mind until you get that contract in the mail.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say 8 out of 10 times people leaving is just money. They can't afford it. So that's going to be the main cost of it. They're a factor there. The other few times is they just move.
I'd say I talked to a couple of people over the past couple of days while we were setting this up, and the highest reasons for customers leaving in a sales model is divorce and moving.
Divorce.
So divorce and moving were the 2 top answers that I got. Price was in there, but a lot of the times what the company said was when a customer approached them about a pricing issue, it gave them the time of day to discuss it with that customer and walk them through it, and maybe downsizing their project, not installing certain items, not storing certain items to make it fit within their budget.
Yeah, but you said earlier the storage was very minimal, so it's going to come down to what.
But you know what? If you get onto bigger projects, when you start storing wreaths, garland, and things of that sort, resin pieces, it does add up quickly. Mini lights doesn't take up much space to store, as you know. C9s really don't take up that much room to store, but those bigger items, some customers will just store their wreaths, and they'll store their wreaths. We'll store everything else because they don't want to pay, $120 a year to store a wreath.
How often have you had an issue though with the customer storing the stuff and then you have to rely on them leaving the lights out? If they're not home, the lights aren't out. You got to wait for them. Maybe
it happens all the time. It's something that it's something that's accounted for when you're actually going to do the install, and the customers know that. I've seen companies do this. Hey, if your lights aren't outside your garage, waiting for my guys when they get there, A, you're going to get bumped on the schedule, and B, there might be a charge put on there for us, showing up and not being able to do our job.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. If the customer wants to save that money, they'll do it themselves. They'll store it themselves.
Yeah, I just feel that would kill production, especially how regimented we got to be during the season. Like, we know where we're going to be. If we're showing up and the lights aren't there, well, we just wasted 20, 30 minutes of the day showing up.
Driving to somebody's house to not install the lights, and it does happen. But how many times do not necessarily you, but how many times do install companies show up to the house and they forgot a wreath? they forgot something else that, from the warehouse. It happens.
Yeah, that's completely different though. If you figure out a wreath, you can get somebody to bump it out to you, or just do everything else and then come back and put that up later at a time. Because realistically, in October, we don't put up any greenery, so we do all the install, all the minis, all the roof line, everything else we can do, and then we'll come back in November right after the first week, and then put all that stuff. So a little bit different. We get one thing versus not being able to do anything. Let them buy the lights. We store them. It's a hybrid system I run down harbor.
How is that a hybrid system?
It's just, I mean,
that's a sales model that offers storage,
Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen a bunch of companies have storage either make or break them on the sales end, to either help them grow the size of their facility. It'll help pay for, other, things that they need in their facility. But on the flip side of that is I've also seen companies that didn't offer storage. It helps them stay small. So someone's running out of their house, they have a two truck crew running it out of their backyard. They have, a shed and maybe a storage unit. It's not killing their cost by having to pay for storage units and facilities to store lights the whole year, because they let all their customers store their lights, which in a leasing model, you wouldn't be able to have that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 storage units, 2 40-foot containers, and our warehouse.
Yeah.
So that adds up real quick. And something people, we got to talk to new businesses about when they're getting into it. Because like you said, some of them are running around their house. And if you don't think about that, storage units are the easiest way, the cheapest way to get that.
And then you build up to a warehouse.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people just do the Connex boxes. Mr. Dan Plato, what's up? Stuff.
What's up, Dan? Haven't heard from him in a while.
He's a busy man. He was out in some boundary waters doing some fishing.
There you go.
Oh, we got a long one here. I got to take a second to read this one because people like to read. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the gamble with the sale is, I mean, they have the lights. They can just do whatever they want the next year. They don't have to call you back.
Exactly. But it's the same thing with the lease. You're leasing lights from someone, doesn't mean you have to call them back for it.
Yeah, but again, if I lease, I still retain the lights.
Yep.
Lights are at the customer's house.
Here's another question I have for you. How much of your warehouse goes out every year, and how much is, let's say, stale inventory for 1 year? So, do you have pieces, do you have items, in a sales model, your warehouse or storage unit is just about getting emptied every year, and then all that space is getting filled right back up at the end of the year because you don't own the lights. It's all customer lights, customers that are paying you to store their lights. Is there stale inventory that just sits around and takes up shelf space for 1 year, 2 years,
You talking about new products?
New product, or let's say you have a teddy bear like that guy who's on that side. Let's say you have something like that on an install, and the customer says, "Hey, not really looking to go forward, with the leasing model that you have, or not looking forward to go with you as a company." Again, this is a specialty piece, but how long would he sit on the shelf till you lease him out again?
Oh, I mean, we try and push it as hard as something like that. Especially, we're gonna reach out to all our commercial clients, and then towards the end of the season, we'll just get it out for a flash sale to get it out to be used. But I mean,
your house.
We've had some trees, 14, 16-foot tower trees that been used 1 year and then not used the next year. But again, that profit though, especially on the larger stuff, is incredible on the lease model versus the sale.
But think about how much space you could have in your warehouse if you sold the customer that tree, made your 30% selling the customer that tree, and then the customer cancels. You just opened up another 2 bays in your warehouse racking because they took the tree when they left.
Yeah, but what's the difference if I open it up with a new versus having at least still sitting there ready to go out to a new lease?
True. It could go out to a new lease, or you could have the warehouse space to fill with, what's making you money, like storage space.
Doug, how are we doing today? Good to see you here. Tyler says,
Hi, Doug. I'm here. How's it going?
They choose not to call. We were on the plane a couple weeks ago, Angela and I, and we're sitting up in first class, and the flight attendant comes out. He's like, "Mr. Chanowsky, I want to thank you for being a platinum member or diamond member for Delta." And he looks at Angela and he's like, "Thanks for showing up." They choose not to call me next year. The one season can put them up on another install. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What else can I say? All right, here's one for you. you sell the lights, and I want to hear your answer because I know what everybody else's answer that I talk to. You sell the lights, and then second year you go up there and you got a couple bulbs broken. You got a couple minis out. Are you charging the customer?
It depends on a couple things. First thing, if it's the second year, your light should still be under the warranty from your supplier. So obviously not, you're going to send it back to your supplier, get it taken care of. Down the road, let's say we're 5 years down the road, everything's out of warranty, and a C9 bulb goes out. That's handled on a case-by-case basis. A lot of times we make the recommendation prior to material going bad that it gets replaced. So you have garland, your garland's 5 years old. Hey, listen, Mrs. Jones, your garland's getting pretty old. We think it's time that you replace it. We'll put it on the renewal contract for that year. If they don't sign it, the garland goes bad. That's when we'll start discussing, hey, we're charging you for a service call. But if Mrs. Jones has her garland, we didn't make the recommendation, the garland goes out, that's on a case-by-case basis. So I know everyone does it differently. If it's one C9 bulb on a roof, no, you still bring that into your route. You go and take care of it. But if your C9s are 10, 15 years old, and we recommended that you replace them years in a row, we'll tell you at the beginning of the season, hey, listen, if a C9 bulb goes out, we're going to have to charge you for a service call.
You said, wait, how many years old?
10.
At 10 years?
Give or take, yeah. I mean, some of our install customers that we had, they had lights on their house for years and years, and they just stay with you. You keep the same product up. And then once you get to a certain point, you know as a contractor, hey, listen, last year we had, 6 bulbs go bad on your project, 7 bulbs go bad, and we came 2 to 3 times to replace 7 bulbs. We should look into next year replacing your old projects. Its life expectancy is just about up. We recommend that you replace it for next year.
Is there a service fee for going back?
It depends if we recommend or not to replace the lights beforehand. So if we said, hey, we think we should replace it, they said, I'm going to decline on that, I think they're fine, then we'll say, okay, well, if we have to come back out, then we're going to charge your service fee.
And then, I just had a question I was going to ask. At what point do you increase your labor?
So that goes up annually.
Every year it's increasing.
Just about, you go through about a 3 to 10% raise every year, give or take. Just like with your power washing business or any other home service business, your rate's not staying the same every year. And if it is, you're going to lose money as a business owner. Usually year 1 to 3, you try and leave it consistent just because you're still getting that customer on board, getting them to know who you are. But once you get into it, you're raising it every year.
Yeah. And I see what Joe's saying. I mean, obviously we want to take care of the customer. That's why I like the lease, again, because our ticket's going to be higher year over year with that customer. So if it is a thing here, a thing there, it's easy for me to say, well, they just spent $2,000 for the last 3 years with us. We're going to go over and replace them.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to the point where, like, all right, well, we know these bulbs at their life expectancy. We could do 2 options, depending if our pricing was still on point to where it is today. We'll just go ahead and swap all the bulbs out because it's easier for us to do it at the shop than to have 2 or 3 service calls, because those service calls will kill a company. I talked to a guy yesterday. God, who was I talking to? They had a service call every single day for almost every single job. It was just, it came down to training. And
you said every single job had a service call?
Pretty much, he said. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I could see having, 1 service call a day. I could see that being a thing because, you figure 45 service calls throughout the season isn't the worst thing in the world when you're running, 4, 5, 6, 700 installs. You'll take that 45 service calls and roll with it.
So you discount the lights?
They'll discount the cost, and I get that because I've seen people do it before. So instead of, per se, marking up the lights from your distributor, they might give it to them at their cost just to get them to replace their lights. So we saw this a lot when people were switching from incandescent to LED. A lot of companies were trying to leverage homeowners to swap from incandescent to LED by just saying, hey, listen, this is what it would go for if you were new. This is what I'll give it for you now. Let's get you swapped over so we don't have issues like out bulbs, things like that. And the customers would usually jump on that and swap over. Same thing with, wreaths, garland, because, 10 years ago, we were doing a lot more service calls because there was nothing you could do to be proactive about an incandescent bulb going out, an incandescent wreath dying halfway through the season. It wasn't where we were at now. So when you were switching people over from even like late incandescent, it really sucked because it was like a 2-year process. You sold them incandescent lights. 2 years later, LEDs were out. They were decent. And then it was like, now you got to buy it all over again. So making that big switch, we did a lot of that, hey, we'll give you a good deal. Let's get you swapped over for the ease of us.
Don, what do you sell? What's your price per foot then for a roof line or a strand of minis? So I'm just curious what your cost for selling it is. Just for the material itself, not the labor. What would that run you? All right, so let's start running through some pros and cons with both of them, and we'll be fair. And the audience can keep us fair. If you think we're wrong, let us know. But let's just start out with pricing.
Okay.
Year-over-year pricing.
Year-over-year pricing. I will give it to you. Leasing is going to be, you're going to make more money in your leasing because it's a higher ticket item.
Okay.
I'll give it to you. I'm not even going to sit here and argue with you on it.
So if you want to make more money, the lease is going to be the pro.
Okay.
Or rent. Let me go with rent. I really need to shift over to saying renting. I need to say rent. All right.
And
so
let me rephrase that. It's not that you're going to make more money. It's that you could charge more. You could charge more for a leasing model.
No, you are going to make more money too, because year 2, you're just literally charging for labor at that point and for renting the materials.
But year 1, you have to cost average out that you didn't make as much money as the sales model did year 1.
How do you figure? We just did the breakdown on what a 100-foot house.
We didn't take your material cost that you're purchasing into account. So yeah, year 1 we're pretty much neck and neck. Year 2 we dropped down, but year 1 you didn't make the same amount of money.
All right, hold on. Let's back this up. You said you were what? Oh, God, what was the price on that? $42? No, it wasn't even $42 for your
Our mini light sets are anywhere from, what do we say, 25 to 35 installed and sold. So sold and installed first year, you're at 35.
Right. Mine's 45.
My numbers could also be off because I haven't done installs in 5 years.
Yeah. So mine's 45. Even if you're 42, 47, we're right there neck and neck.
Yep.
So we're still going to make the same year the same. Like
we're at year 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's swap over to ease of starting your business. Is it easier to start with a sales model or a leasing model?
I think it all depends on how you talk to your customers. I mean, it's just it's another form of sale. So it really just depends on, one, what your customer may know. They may know the rent model. They may know the sale model. So really, it's going to be an education piece. If they know nothing, year 1, our pricing, we just said, is going to be identical. So they just know one price at that point. So I really just think it's more of what experience they have.
So let's back up to 10 years ago, Jared, 10 years ago, Grant. I was in middle school. You were probably getting started with your business ventures.
You were in middle school? Oh my God.
10 years. I was in middle school 10 years ago. Actually, no, it was my first year of high school. Regardless, what were you doing 10 years ago? If you were here 10 years ago, starting your business, I don't know if you had your business not 10 years ago, but if you were starting it 10 years ago and you had to make that first initial investment to buy all those lights that were yours to own, and then you were going to lease them out to customers, what would sit better in your stomach, knowing that you made more money your first year in your pocket, or that you had the long-term investment of owning the lights?
Well,
not the way we think now, the way we think 10 years ago.
First year, I would literally sell the job, buy the lights.
You would sell the job, and it would sit better with me as a first-year guy, knowing that I had all my expenses covered and everything paid for, plus some more money to help grow my business. And I talked to a couple guys that were in the leasing model for their first year last year, and some of them did pretty good for a 2-man crew. They were hitting 70 installs their first year. And one of the guys came up to me and he was like, I don't know if I made any money my first year. He said, I know my second year I'm going to kill it. But he said, my first year I bought the material, I invested in my business. He said, at the end of the day, there wasn't a ton left over after I paid my guys and this and that for me. Where we did some of the math, and if he did a sales model, he would have had a lot more money left in the business to reinvest in the business. Not in material per se, but actually to invest in the business.
All right, that doesn't make sense though, because we just went and talked that the pricing for the first year is gonna be the same for you and me. We're
And I'm going off what he was saying.
but
He
no,
might
no,
not.
you're gonna know.
He
So
probably wasn't charging right.
that's what I'm saying. That comes down to
that next.
a training failure and not getting coached on how to properly do an install. So that's going to come down to labor because they're taking longer to do it. They're not charging accordingly. They're probably charging the same price for a lower roof, middle roof, and top roof because those are 3 different price points.
Yeah.
You talked about having different price points for a canopy versus a branch wrap. So, I mean, realistically, like that example you said comes down to lack of training because they're slow.
Yeah.
And we can't see my thumb there. There we go. And then the pricing. But if he priced everything right and sold everything the same way you did and the same way I did, at the end of the season, the money's going to be exactly the same in the bank, right?
Let's go through the numbers again. Let's go through.
Let's
go through a different example because I was all before. I didn't have my spreadsheet pulled up, and I'm going to be slow with this. But we'll roll through.
You're still trying to get some higher numbers in your first year.
All right, so let's roll through an example.
But back up though, like so first year, and then he makes a really good point for it. Like that 50% deposit pays for my inventory, so the customer's not getting on the schedule until we get a 50% deposit. So it's no money out of my pocket if it's my first or second year because I don't need to be sitting on inventory in January. I really don't need any inventory until say September, October.
Yeah,
I might be a couple $1,000s out if I want to get some stuff in early for training. But at the end of the season, first, second year, I'm buying as I'm going because that was my mindset. I didn't know better. I wasn't informed to buy lights in January, February for a discount. I didn't know what to expect years going into it. So, I mean, 2019, when I started with, I spent a lot of money on shipping because I was stupid about that back then because I would buy per job, not knowing better. And we were just so slow and sporadic. It just made sense. But, having any inventory left over the first year, second year, now I've got a ton of inventory left over and I'm fine with that because I paid less for it a couple of years ago and still ready to go this year. But all right, let's get back to your point. We want to start all over again. All right, let's go back to the drawing.
Let's roll through another example because I feel like my number's off my head and I have my spreadsheet up right here and I'm going to roll through it as we talk about it. So,
all right, real quick, if anybody's watching, go ahead and drop comments. Let us know how you're doing things. Really, I want to see who else is anybody listening right now selling their products. Don, you said you're doing a hybrid, pretty much a sale. Everybody else so far is renting.
My New York people aren't out here supporting me. It's okay.
Yeah, man. No love. All right. You want me to pull up my estimate and we'll go just like line for line and see what we got?
We could do that or we could throw together a mock house. It's up to you.
No, let's just do. I mean, go ahead and I'll pull mine up and get mine loaded. Then I'll put some prices in and see where we're at.
Okay, mine's gonna take me a minute because I got to jump back and forth between a sales proposal and a labor sheet. But
see, mine's one thing, one estimate. Here's your price.
Here's one. Mine has more options.
Keeps it simple. I've got 3 options. I've got the Grinch, Buddy the Elf, and Clark Griswold. I give options for everybody. Team lease. There we go. I like that. William, we got to switch over to team rent. That's where we're going this year. Rent them. We're going to rent those lights out. Love it. Let's see. Uh-oh. We were selling a residential and leasing a commercial. There you go. You got 2 now. Team rent.
Sweet. I didn't read whose name that was, but
here you go. Come back at you. See, for us, the first deposit pays for lights, labor for install, and labor for takedowns. The second deposit is all profit for the business release. Okay. You ready? See, I already had the estimate to the customer, man. We're done. We already sold the job. Or we rented the job, I should say.
You rented? Yeah, see, you didn't sell. You rented it.
If anybody's got any questions, though, go ahead and drop your questions. Just want to get feedback. This is a fun call between Grant and I. No love, no hate on this one.
No hate, only the Grinch.
Yeah.
I have to fully
always do.
See if I can see this. I can't see in Excel at the same time, but we'll roll with
it. It'd be too hot with that.
Yeah.
I think Chris and Don, hopefully they're friends and they're having a little banter over here. It's kind of funny.
There you go.
Got to go do a commercial estimate today. That was pretty exciting, man. It's June 20th, 19th, and
19th, June 19th. It's a holiday.
yeah. And then and I was out doing one. Did a bistro light estimate today. Patrick was out doing another estimate for another commercial property. So, if everybody's sitting there and just waiting till August, September, October, like, no, get out there and just get loud. Get loud with your clients. Get loud with your commercial clients, especially.
I know a couple of our big contractors were on a walkthrough last week for a big property that's out here, big bid going on. So it's happening. People are starting to think about it. It's despite what people think is going on with the economy, I think it's going to hit hard this year.
Yeah, I think for the ones that we lose, we'll gain for the ones that don't suffer through all that. So, Tyler, I think we're completely different. I don't know.
Tyler, I don't install anymore.
Yeah.
So my numbers are a couple years old. I've been doing it since I was 14. I started out installing, so 10 years ago now. When I was a freshman in high school, I started wrapping lights and went to selling lights. I stopped actually selling lights to homeowners and businesses back in 2019 was my last season selling. So my numbers aren't relevant, and what the company was doing back in 2019 that I worked for isn't relevant. So I don't even know if we could compare apples to apples on that.
And then I started 2019, so no, 16, 17, 18 was part-time. I mean, it was literally like 5 houses, 25, 75 houses, while full-time Navy. And then last year we did, I want to say it was like 1.2 or just shy of 1.2 million. We will not do that this year. And I'm happy with that.
Well,
very happy with that.
So you're not going to do that this year?
I don't anticipate doing it. I really want to scale back and have a little bit more fun doing it.
So now the goal is you've hit that over $1 million mark. Now we need to do 800,000 by making a higher profit margin.
Yeah, that's
You'll still make the same amount of profit as you did at 1.2, but let's get the headaches down.
That's right. Yeah. So I want more net this year. I don't care about that vanity number. Okay, 1 here at 2 and 4 HOA entrance. I've got an incredible hack for HOA entrances. I don't want to put it out there because people will steal it, but it's one of the best ways to get into HOAs. I'll tell somebody one day, but for now, it's my secret.
I'll mute the chat. We can talk about it privately.
I am Team Grant on Cougar Paws. He has great pricing. You guys still doing free Cougar Paws with purchases this year?
So we were doing those on our pre-orders,
okay.
And then we don't have anything set up for our September kickoff yet. But once we start getting some stuff out for that, we usually do some great deals in September to kind of get some things out there. We have a training class where we're doing free Cougar Paws for a boom lift certification. So if you show up to the boom lift certification, you pay for the entrance fee on that. You get a pair of step gear shorts and a pair of Cougar Paws just for showing up. So, and you get boom lift certified, lunch, and you get to sit on an OSHA ladder safety class.
That's a pretty freaking good deal. Excuse me.
Yep.
All right, you ready? Because I got to wrapping this up here. I'm actually headed to Raleigh to go hang out with Jimmy.
Okay. Got a flight to catch?
No, drive. It's only 2 hours.
I don't know how far you are from it. My geography out of New York is terrible.
Grant, where's the training going to be?
Training's in New York. Sorry, everything's in New York.
At your shop in Long Island, right?
Everything's at our shop in Long Island for now. We're working with one of your buddies and getting some stuff out of state, but
I will, Don. I'll be live all day tomorrow teaching and then going on Facebook. So I'll catch you on there.
All right, sweet.
There you go. I'll be in Boston. I'll be in Boston.
August events. We got a Lumion training going on in August. Lumion landscape lighting specific. We got Dower. It's going to be here in August, and we're doing a holiday light training in August. So it's going to be a busy month here. Still not Boston. We're still Long Island, but it's closer than North Carolina.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
So you tell me what you want to start with, and then give me a couple seconds, and I'll get you a number.
All right, we're still going to do what? Roof line, just like we did before?
Yep, roof line. What are we going? Easy, hard?
Yeah, let's just do first level.
Okay, and then I'll include storage in all mine, just so we can make sure we're apples to apples. So first level roof line, about $11 installed.
All right, so your numbers definitely changed already.
Because we're at about, well, that's with material.
Right.
Yep. So you're at about $7 plus material. And it depends on the size of the house because a lot of, we don't bill out line items for every single piece. So we're billing out an overhead dollar on top of that for material, hardware, and storage. So you're billing out, let's say just in labor, just put in one.
Anybody else have any other questions while we're going through this for the lease first sale model? You want to ask Grant, myself, rent first sale. God dang, I gotta get this right. Now I gotta change everything in my friggin' line and everything, all our books.
So you're looking at about your estimate would have been done a while ago. So yeah, we're at about $11 for sale. Your material cost, depending, and again, it ranges depending on the size of the house, because this year in store the light.
So what's your labor? This is what he's asking.
Just the labor.
Yeah.
So just the labor with storage or without storage?
Let's just go with width to get the highest price.
With storage is $879.
Okay. So you're selling your lights for $2 something a foot?
$2 something a foot, but it depends on the size of the project for that hardware cost. So you're figuring about $1.25 per foot for $1.24 per foot per C9 bulb, and then about 40 cents per foot per C9 socket for the cord, plus your clips, your males, females, things like that. But that's all put, your clips, your males and females and everything like that is put in as a percentage on top of it. So at one bulb, it's really not going to give you a fair, divider.
So you're selling it for $229. See now, all right. See this now it changes everything. A lot of things change because your pricing's a lot different than it was earlier. So you're selling your per foot, your sale price is what, $229? You said,
give or take, and it depends on the size of the project because that hardware and extension cost is going to change as it's bigger and smaller. But you're averaging about $229 per foot just for material.
Yeah, Don, Florida or Texas is just a friggin' corral of Christmas light installers. It's hard down there. I know guys probably leasing lights down there for $5 a foot. It's insane.
$5 a foot.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, all right, go ahead and just finish this out. You got 100 foot of roof line. Let's do what do we say? 6 strands of minis.
Okay, so 6. What do you do more, canopy or branch?
But we're just doing it. We'll do a canopy because we're doing column wraps. Let's just keep it simple.
Okay. We don't canopy. The company I worked for before I was here didn't canopy wrap. Didn't wrap columns in mini lights ever. It was one of my boss's pet peeves. We always tried to go for garland.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, but the cost is so much higher.
Okay, so let's go with canopy. So we are like $27, which is that $13 in labor and $13 for a set of mini lights.
Okay. See, that's crazy. Your difference there. Well, yeah, because your markup on your minis is a lot higher versus your markup on your roof line. Jason, I mean, the consensus across the board is team rent.
Team rent.
You got 3 people on here that sell. So 3 versus the other 7,000 people watching right now. There's not 7,000 people.
They're just not saying anything. Damn people.
All right, and then a 48-inch wreath.
48-inch wreath installed, takedown, and storage. I bet you this number is going to come back and shock you.
If you're under $200, it will.
We're at $289 just labor for install, takedown, storage.
Okay.
Plus
I think we're 425. Don, you're right where I am.
So we're at 550 first year, install, takedown, storage, plus the cost of material.
So 550, then 289.
Yep.
All right. So then what's your total right now?
I haven't been doing this right, so I'm going to go in and fix that.
Man, your customer's waiting. They're ready to buy, but I'm coming in and I've already got my package ready to go.
Listen, I'm a little rusty at this. We're going to have to get one of these new guys to come do it. We did 6 sets of mini lights and 1 wreath.
Yeah. Yes, Don. I would have had the neighbors too.
Would have already closed this right. Yeah. All right. We're getting there. And
We got about 5 more minutes. I got to get going. I got to be on the road. I've got a meeting with somebody. Do you guys do any virtual estimates? Anybody doing virtual estimates? Because the meeting I'm about to have is going to change the way we do virtual estimates for Christmas lighting, and I'm so excited. It's software that's already out there, but nobody's using it. So we've been using it in our washing for the last 2 weeks, and it's so freaking cool. I'm excited to talk about this more next week, maybe even tomorrow.
so I'm at, for my total sales proposal, we're at about 1831 first year for material cost, install, takedown, storage.
All right, so I'm at 6 plus. All right, so now you're even higher than I am the first year. Let's just say 1495.
Okay, and my second year is 1281.
Yeah, so see, your numbers are completely different than earlier then.
My math wasn't mathing earlier.
So now, realistically, if anything, the lease model would make more sense to the customer because it's a lower starting cost.
It's a lower starting cost, but then I'm dropping down. You said you're at what, 1400, 1500?
$1,500.
All right, so yeah, then my year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is lower.
Yeah, but you're only $200 lower.
Correct.
So, and a good salesman like I am would be able to pitch on why renting is going to be the better option for them, because if those lights go out, we're coming back and taking care of them for them.
It's okay.
We use 15-inch.
What?
Yeah, that's what we use.
Footage of the T9s y'all quoting. 100 feet.
No.
100 feet.
No, what? I think he meant what inches.
I'm doing 12 inch. Are you doing 12 or 15?
15. See, now my cost is
Change
even
our whole, change our whole math.
now my cost is even lower though. That's just our business model. We don't offer 12.
So if I went in and put 80 C9 bulbs instead of 100.
So then you're gonna be lower.
So my first year cost is 1,800. It didn't bring down that much.
No.
And then technically the labor cost is the same because it's still 100 feet of C9 wire. So that's only that change.
Right. So back to the pros and cons. Pros of sale.
Pros of sales is, I think it's easier to start your business out doing sales. That's my personal opinion.
I mean, everything we just went through just said the opposite, because now you're gonna be more expensive the first year.
No, I meant like starting out your business as a business owner. You don't have to worry about a storage facility. You don't have to worry about investing in the lights. Not sure if you're going to sell them or not year 2.
Yeah, but you don't invest in the leasing either, though, because you're buying as you go.
Unless you stock up, like you said.
Well, yeah, that's year 3, I would think. But year 1, play it safe because you don't know if it's going to work for you. So I'd say that's a watch right there. That one don't count. Storage, okay. I can maybe rent a unit.
I've got one on the win for the sales board.
Yeah, storage is definitely you. You got the win for that. Pricing, more profitable year over year with the leasing, we thought, but then you change your pricing. So, but again, your pricing.
What's the recap on that one? I got to check my.
Your pricing, but I'm giving you North Carolina pricing. You're giving me Long Island pricing.
Yeah.
So I would expect you to be higher up there.
I'm giving you 2020 pricing, not 2024 pricing.
Yeah, let's compare apples to apples, I guess. I don't know anybody in North Carolina selling it, so I don't know. It was a fun conversation. I appreciate it.
I think you keep customers longer. From my opinion, I think that selling lights, you'll keep customers around longer. I don't know if you have, a retention rate, but from the couple guys I was talking to over the past week, they were saying that they're anywhere from the 92 to 97% retention rate.
I would love to see that on paper. I think 80, 85 is probably the national average. It's definitely gotten lower the last few years during COVID.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think this year is going to be down from that, definitely.
Yeah, COVID was really great, but now it's really starting to kick in with people. So that's why providing that value and finding the right customer is important.
For sure.
I hate to have a 1-year customer. I want to have 3, 5, 7-year customers. I mean, we got one customer that I've been doing since the first day I installed lights. That she's still with us. Funny story about that. And I got to go. When I first did her lights, I didn't know better because I didn't get trained. I didn't talk to people, so I did everything wrong and the hard way, and I made a lot of expensive mistakes. But we did net lights, and we kept doing net lights and net lights and net lights, and then finally the net lights broke. It was last year, and I went and I told the guys, I'm like, dude, change those out, put minis up there. And she called, and she's like, I don't like this. This is ugly. Just no, like this is not going to work. And she strung armed me to go get net lights, and I had to do a video about because we never do net lights ever. It's the only pair of net lights we have, and I still had to do them because it made her happy. And she was my first customer, so
I've seen one situation where net lights have actually worked, and that was a pergola. There was a wedding venue with a pergola on it, and for the life of us, we could not get the mini lights to look right on the pergola. Threw some net lights on it. They were never happier. We were so happy we were done with the job and it looked right. That was the only customer we ever did net lights for.
You do icicles?
Icicles, so we don't do string icicles. We did the light links, so the ones with the metal frames.
Yeah.
Icicles
belong in a dumpster fire. That's the only place they belong.
The light links were easy because they stayed in place. They were neat and organized when you packed them away. It's super easy install.
Storage sucks, though.
What?
Storage sucks on those.
Not when the customer pays for it.
Well, you mean when they store it?
You're getting, let's see what light link. We also store everything in cardboard. We could have a whole nother conversation on cardboard versus plastic for storage. So a light link, storage-wise, we're getting $350 per light link to store them.
Dang.
So.
All right, Grant. This has been fun. I got to get going. Kids are waiting in the car.
Have fun. Enjoy your time with Jimmy.
Everybody who joined us, appreciate you all commenting. And
all 7,000 people. I appreciate the ones that showed up.
7,001 right now.
Got my name.
All right, Grant. We'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thanks, everybody.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.